Shalom, and welcome to What the Watchman Sees, a ministry that will sift through all of the social media noise to show you news of importance from the Most High's perspective. As watchmen, we are here both to warn of dangers and give biblical answers for dwelling in the secret place of the Most High during these times of confusion. Tell your family and friends to like, share, and subscribe as we delve into what Yahweh has for us, the apple of His eye. Let's get to work. This is just a quick pop in. I've been thinking about the so-called end of the world in relationship to our place with the Most High. I'm going to say some things that most people who are in the Christian community don't believe. So I guess this is fair warning. I believe in the scriptures that say that in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, when the Most High comes back, when Yeshua comes back, the dead will rise first, and then those who are still here will rise with them, after them, and they will meet the Most High in the air. They will meet Yeshua in the air and forever be with Yeshua. I absolutely believe that. What I think we get wrong, though, is the time frame. When I meditate on His Word, and when I meditate on the quote-unquote end time scenarios, what I have been shown is that there are other ways of looking at the scriptures that people take for granted as saying Jesus is getting ready to come back any minute now. He is coming back, okay? In one sense, He's already here. He's here as a down payment as the Holy Spirit, which is another point of view that I already understand. Most Christians don't believe. Most Christians believe that there are actually three gods. I know nobody will actually say that. Everybody always talks about the quote unquote three in one, but in human understanding, people don't believe that the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost are one and the same. They believe that they're one in aim, one in purpose, one in direction, but they're discrete personalities. And therefore, no matter how you cut it, that's three gods. It is what it is when you believe that. I don't believe that. I believe when the Shema says the Most High is one, that's what the scriptures mean. When Jesus said, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father, that's what He meant. Now, what has that got to do with where we are right now? Because this is why I've been meditating on it. There's a difference between us being at the end of an age and the end of the world. Okay, when you look up that word world, another definition for world is actually age or aeon. Okay, so we are at the end of an age, and what that means to me is that another age is going to start. And at some point, the New Jerusalem, adorned as a bride, will come down and be with us as human beings. And that's where the age that we call heaven, or the kingdom of heaven, that's when that age starts. But I don't think it's going to happen day after tomorrow. even as things are as intense as they are, here's what I think is happening. I think that the age of the Gentiles is coming to a close, which means that the age of the children of Yasharel is coming forward. And that age is going to be on this earth. So if you're a Gentile, your world is coming to an end. And in that sense, the world is the system that you are under that has allowed you to be the top dog on the planet. That system is coming to an end. So that's different than the whole world gets burned up and the Most High is going to start all over again. Although I think at some point that will happen because Revelation talks about that. But I don't think that's where we are right now. I think, now, why is that an important point of view to consider? The Gentile was not always in charge of things. The Most High's people have been in charge before. And before them, there were other people who were in charge in these other lands. And so when you look at world history, geographically, geopolitically, what you're going to find is that people groups are that when it comes to land masses, they come and they go, and people have always ebbed and flowed on land, which is where I'm going with this. Everybody says that Africa is the cradle of human existence. Everybody came out of Africa. But what does that mean? It means that there was something going on in Africa that was insufficient, which caused people to go somewhere else. People don't leave for no reason. They always have a reason to do what they do when it comes to mobility. If I don't have to move, I'm not going to move. Okay? So the people who didn't move in Africa evidently had everything that they needed, which is why they stayed. Now here is where having a understanding of spiritual things is so important. Our ancestors in Africa had a culture that acknowledged both the material and the spiritual world to the extent that they did not separate the two. They were both part of the whole, okay? And the whole is the human beings and the society that those human beings created. And so, you know, from the Black consciousness community, those were supposed to be our glory days. And yet, and for thousands of years, they were our glory days. But how is it that a group of people who left that luxurious land then decided to come back, and they were able to take the land from the people that were already there? And this is the reason I'm bringing this up, is because I think we're in one of those times again. Okay. We're in the time when the Gentiles, the Western Europeans primarily, have had a run on the planet. They got to where they are because there had to have been some weaknesses in the places and in the people groups that they ended up overcoming. And when I say weaknesses, I'm talking about from within. In other words, if the people had been occupying the blessed land that they had, there would be no way for an enemy to come and take it from you, because you would have already understood that part of your responsibility over the land was to be able to defend it and to defend your culture that you had created on that land. So whether you look on the continent of Africa, whether you look at South America, whether you look at North America, all these places were already populated by people, and overwhelmingly by people of color. Yet these few folk from Northern Europe were able to come and take everybody's stuff. Now, either the people didn't care about the stuff that they had, or they had gotten to the point where they were so corrupt from the inside that they just fell in on themselves. And I think that's what happened. So their world came to an end. So if their world came to an end, what does that look like? Well, it looks like what Africa is right now. It looks like what South America is right now. It looks like what North America is right now. Now, North America is probably the most extreme example, because when those Europeans came to North America, they wiped out an entire group of people, millions of them. They destroyed them. Okay. But again, how could a handful of people do that? Were the folks there so weak? I think part of the reason why they did it is the same reason that the earth had to be destroyed the first time, or at least the first time that we're aware of, biblically. So what caused the earth to be destroyed before? It was the wickedness that was in the people that brought the wrath of the Most High down. And when he brought the wrath down on the world that time, it came from the earth and the waters surrounding the earth. So he used the habitat of the people to take them off the planet because they had become so wicked. We hear about the Cahokia Mounds, or we hear about the Mayan civilization, or the Aztecs, and I'm using the Americas purposefully before I talk about the continent of Africa. The common theme of all of those places was they were into human sacrifice. They were shedding innocent blood. And when you shed innocent blood, you get heaven's attention, because the life is in the blood. And if you have a society that functions off of the blood of its own people, that's a prescription for destruction. So yeah, the Europeans were ruthless, they were heartless, they were all those things, but they were able to do what they did because the people themselves did not value themselves. And so if they didn't value themselves, they also didn't value the land that they were on, and somebody else took it from them. So to put it as bluntly as I can, the way that the Europeans got control, the way that they became the rulers of the world, is because the people who were the so-called people of color gave it to them. And the price that they paid to give it to them was their own lives. The Mayans just disappeared. Well, they didn't disappear. They were wiped out, as was the case in what we call the United States of America. Wiped out. Okay, now let's jump over to the place where all this started. It's the same thing in what we call the continent of Africa. Because regardless of where you go in Africa, their knowledge of the universe and their workings with the universe, I'm just going to have to say it. They got culturally lazy. I'm talking about the kind of lazy that takes for granted the blessing that they had. To this day, despite what you hear with the Western media, Africa is a continent of bounty. They don't need big farms because stuff just grows there. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time feeding yourself, despite what Europeans are telling you about that place. You can go right outside your house and pick a mango off a tree that's growing wild. So when you have an entire society like that, they don't have any needs. Now, actually they do, but I'm talking about how the people think. So when you think you don't have any needs and you take your stuff for granted, you do not value what you have. They're sitting on gold. They're sitting on diamonds. They're sitting on cobalt. And they're not doing anything with it. So the Europeans see what they got and they say, okay, well, y'all don't want it. We'll take it. And that's what they have done. That's what they're doing right now as we speak. And the Africans are doing nothing but complaining about it. So we're living in a time, though, when the machinations of the Europeans are now being weighed in the scales. So now it's their turn, okay? Because now they have created a world where they don't have to work. They have all the resources that they need, and they don't value them either. So what's going to happen? Their stuff's going to get taken, which is what's happening now in the United States of America. This country is going to revert back to the people who would have originally had it, but only if that people appreciate what they have. Now, some of those people who are still here, the so-called Native Americans that are left, the reason why they're left is because they did value that relationship that they had with what they call Mother Earth. They did understand that the Great Spirit caused them to be able to live in that blessing. So even though they are living among people who are stone crazy when it comes to humanity, their relationship with the Most High, and that's what we're really talking about here. Their relationship with the Most High is solid, and this land is going to return back to them because they appreciate it and they know how to work with it. In Africa, they could know that, but the majority of the people to this day don't. So what's going to have to happen in Africa now? And this is, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. People who look like me that live in North America, we're getting ready to go back to where we came from. And we're going to take that place because the people who are there don't know what they have. They don't appreciate what they have, and they're not using what they have. We know the value of it now because we have gone lacking so long. So that is what I see is on the horizon. The new world that's coming into to being is going to be run by people who look like me and who have the same lived experience as me. I've been now with folks who know how to take advantage of the bounty of the earth. And I've also understood and take advantage of it without destroying the earth and those who are on it. So this time when it happens, it's going to get done right. You know why? Because the Most High is going to be the ruler of this planet, that we are going to be ruling with him. That's what's about to happen. Okay. And that's why I'm saying the age is ending. The world is not.